हेलो एंड गुड इवनिंग वंस अगेन। एक बार फिर से आपका स्वागत है बियॉन्ड द बाउंड्री पर टीओआई स्पोर्ट्स पर हमारी ये प्रस्तुति। और वी आर काउंटिंग डाउन टू द बॉर्डर गावस्कर ट्रॉफी। दिस होल वीक वी आर गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग अबाउट द फर्स्ट टेस्ट मैच। क्या परम्यूटेशंस हैं, क्या कॉम्बिनेशंस हैं, क्या हो सकता है, क्या होने वाला है। And of course, we know that you are also going to be very, very interested in that. We promise you a full panel throughout the week. And of course, we also will build up towards the IPL auction, but that will come a little later in the week. इस वीकेंड पे आईपीएल ऑक्शन भी है, तो all action available on TOI Sports Beyond the Boundary, where you get all the big news breaks and all the big news stories, and you get to hear the voices behind those news stories as well. तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं। मैं हूं चेतन नरूला। Let's bring on our panelists. We have a full panel once again. We have Nitin Nayak, we have Sahil Malhotra, and we have Manuja Virappa, who will be joining us very, very shortly. Sahil and Nitin, first of all, welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
I can't stress this enough that the excitement is building. ठीक है, टीम इंडिया सीम्स टू बी इन अ बिट ऑफ ट्रबल। हम बात करेंगे कि क्या क्या न्यूज ब्रेक्स हुई हैं, एंड ऑल द न्यूज ब्रेक्स वर फ्रॉम टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया, एंड ऑल आर रीडर्स एंड ऑल, if I can say so, the competing websites, etc. All the cricket news was first available on Times of India. So we'll discuss all of that. जो भी Friday को हुआ, जो भी weekend पे हुआ, but it cannot be denied, Sahil and Nitin, that the excitement is building up. Let's start with that. Nitin, how's your excitement ahead of the India-Australia series?
Yeah, great. Have to reset my biological clocks over the next 2 months
Hmm.
to wake up early and revive some old childhood memories of waking up at 5, watching the Channel 9 coverage on Doordarshan, watching Ravi Shastri dive on the boundary and save. That was the first visual that I saw from Australia. It
Hmm.
was because I think the India that Benson Hedges
Yeah.
series
Yeah.
that they started showing from the third match. The
Yeah.
first two games against Pakistan and England we were not seeing. We saw
Hmm.
it from the third match, and yeah, so that was the first visual I saw, and so lovely memories of watching cricket from Australia. And the last two series obviously makes us very excited, but
Hmm.
seeing what's happened so far,
Yeah.
guarded optimism.
Guarded optimism. Sahil, your thoughts on this excitement building up? काफी सारे news breaks किए हैं आपने, and you've been very busy with the news stories from Perth. But at the same time, how's your excitement shaping up? India Australia 5 a.m. start. It's always very, very exciting.
It is, it's that time of the year when the AQI soars above 1000 in Delhi. So struggling with that, and the air kind of becomes very nippy in the evening.
Yeah.
So we are getting used to that change. And as Nitin Bhai mentioned, the biological change will have to happen organically, naturally, forcefully. Ab uthna to padega hi, come what may. And the excitement is building up. It's always good to have a 5 test series, and the only thing which excites me is that कि 5 tests will not be a fluke for any side. You have to play consistent cricket for a very long period, and that involves fighting around injuries, availabilities, form issues, a lot of things. So wo, I always enjoy a marathon more than a sprint here. So that's why I think I'm very looking forward to this series. अब इंडिया का क्या हाल है वो हम डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे शो में आगे जाके, बट अभी आई एम वेरी एक्साइटेड. आई एम ऑलवेज फॉर अ 5 test series. I was when England came to India earlier this year, and similar feeling now, just that the AQI has worsened and continues to worsen in Delhi.
QI वर्सन होने की बात, well, I was lucky enough to be on 2 tours of Australia, 2014, 2018. तो एक तरीके से 5 बजे सुबह उठने की आदत थोड़ी सी टूट गई थी. Then COVID came, and then अब वो आदत दोबारा बन गई है. This time, unfortunately, I'll not be in Australia, but I'll be covering the series with TOI from the confines of my home. Hopefully, commentating for DD Sports on a. I think I'm doing the second test match, but let's see what happens. It's a long series, 5 match series. तो चलिए हम बात करते हैं. Let's start with the big news breaks. Big news breaks on the weekend. Let's start with them one by one. All those news breaks were available फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ऑन टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया. उसके बाद आपने कहीं देखा हो उसके ऑफ शूट हो स्टोरीज के, but these breaks were available first of all on Times of India. So let's bring them on one by one. The first news break, the biggest one, was of course Rohit Sharma not available for the first test match, and Jasprit Bumrah will be leading. कहीं और पे स्टोरीज दिखी होंगी कि ही इज बोर्डिंग द फ्लाइट विद मोहम्मद शामी एंड गोइंग टू बी पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन द फर्स्ट टेस्ट, दिस एंड दैट, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. But no, the truth is that he's going to be missing the first test match. Jasprit Bumrah will be leading. And on that note, we would like to congratulate Rohit Sharma and his wife and his family really for the birth of their second child. And hopefully the baby and the mother both are doing well. But at the same time, this is big news in the sense that the captain is missing. उसके अलावा भी चीजें हुई हैं. But let's have first thoughts from Sahil and Nitin. Sahil, your thoughts on this? You broke the story. Can we have the main story on this as well, where it was confirmed that Rohit Sharma will be missing? And there you go. He will be staying back. The baby boy has been born. He will be staying back, spending time with his family a little bit, and he will be available from the second test onwards. It is understood that the Indian captain has communicated his decision to the BCCI as well, and of course, they probably have approval of this as well. Sahil, let's get your thoughts on the story. Big news, of course. Congratulations to Rohit Sharma. At the same time, the Indian top order has been a little weakened, especially with what has been happening in Perth as well.
Yeah, I think it was. They were waiting. Rohit was waiting. Everyone involved wanted him to be on that flight to Perth. They wanted him to play. Let's not get into too much details, but there was a bracket which they were looking at कि अगर इस bracket इस time window के अंदर अगर baby born होता है तो Rohit could have probably taken that flight. But even when it actually happened during that time window, the time window which they were looking at, but even then Rohit decided to stay back. And एक बहुत जेंटल रिमाइंडर है सबके लिए. मतलब मेरे को भी किसी से बात करके पता चला when his first daughter was born, Samaira was born, he actually wasn't in India, he was in Australia for the BGT only. So it's not that he's missing matches for fun or for the sake of it. It was something which required his presence there, and he is there. And there is a possibility, I'm not really sure about his departure schedule yet, but he could be on that flight to Australia very soon. But as of now, as we reported on November 16th, which is the day before yesterday, is the first time Rohit had a word with the BCCI, and he actually said, "Ki boss, I don't see any hope of mine to be boarding that flight." So it was decided day before yesterday that he will not be taking the flight to Australia and missing the first test.
Okay, Nitin, we'll have Jasprit Bumrah leading the side. Of course, two fast bowlers going head to head. Pat Cummins versus Jasprit Bumrah at the same time. What are your thoughts? Jasprit Bumrah to lead India in the first test.
It's a bit tricky when a fast bowler and a leading fast bowler becomes captain. Of course, Pat Cummins has done it beautifully for Australia so far. Generally, what happens is when your leading fast bowler becomes captain, you're in a dilemma whether you over bowl yourself or you under bowl yourself. We saw glimpses of that in the Edgbaston test when he led India in that delayed series. Hopefully he has learned, and hopefully he has a decent enough pack with him to come back for the second and third spells if needed. I don't think it's going to be a very long test match because from what reports I've read, they have left a generous amount of grass on the pitches. So I think both teams' batting lineups might struggle, and it's going to be a quick moving test match.
Quick moving test match. It'll be very interesting what sort of conditions will be on offer. Like Nitin said, we are looking at we're looking at a bouncy pitch, a juicy pitch, drop-in pitch. Hai, it might dry out soon. Perth can be really hot. I don't know. We're starting in November, but usually Perth is not that hot in November. But again, we'll just have to wait and watch what the conditions are. And news reports and everything is very different. And when the first ball is bowled, that is very, very different. Let's move on and let's move on and look at the second news. Jaisa Nitin ne kaha ki there's a lot of worrying news breaks coming in from Perth. So let's go to the second news break, and that was again on TOI. Shubman Gill is injured, and he is potentially out of the first test match. Or I don't know if there's a curse on him or something. Every time there's a series which is very, very important, something happens. World Cup mein dengue ho gaya, and he missed a couple of games, and he just couldn't get that rhythm in his batting for the rest of the tournament. We didn't see the big scores from him that we usually see. Uh, every time, I think last BGT maybe he missed the first test match, if I'm not mistaken.
He didn't play
Uh,
the first game, I think, yeah.
yeah. So every time something happens, but this is a big one. Why? Because he's batting at number three, and we've discussed this before as well that number three is going to be very, very vital. And B, Shubman Gill was primed, चाहे हमारे viewers हो, चाहे हमारे panelists हो, चाहे ex-cricketers हो, anybody and everybody is picking Shubman Gill and saying that, you know what, he is going to be very, very important for India's fortunes in this series. So, अब उसमें क्या changes होंगे? We'll come to that. Let's take a look at the story. Let's look at Sahil Malhotra's story. And he was hit during that match simulation on his left thumb, and he was fielding in the slips, and he's obviously a big part of the slip cordon as well. So Sahil, let's start with you on this story.
No, I think when the initial tip-off came, Chetan, and you know how tips work, right? Finger injury हुआ है, slip में, normal है, खेल लेगा, कुछ नहीं होगा. But the worrying bit came after 1 hour when I was told that he's actually going for scans. So when you're going for a scan like 1 hour after the hit, not even 1 hour, I think 30 minutes के बाद उसको scan के लिए they rushed him for scans. And the moment that thing happened, I thought was something is cooking there. And then immediately when the scan results came, then they confirmed a hairline fracture. So it's clear that he's not playing the Perth test. And right now, optimism is really high, as it has been ever since we have taken that flight to Perth. But I still feel he could well be touch and go for the second test, because 2 hafta आपको लगेगा, and it's the left thumb, it's the driving hand, basically the hand which actually drives your batting forward, the one which controls your angles and everything. So left hand के ऊपर भी बहुत force रहता है. And again, he's a slip fielder, close in catcher. So all those things, I think this is one of the biggest blows to India यार. Rohit unavailability, back of the mind आपको कहीं ना कहीं you made peace with that. mentally आप ready थे कि यार हाँ आपको लग रहा था कि you are already prepping for plan B. You had a KL Rahul being asked to open the innings, so you were preparing for that. But this is something which would have caught them off guard. Unfortunate, and this is going to be a concern. Shubman Gill not being there, number 3 position is no joke. So Shubman Gill missing the test is going to be big.
Yeah, Nimish's comment, he says, Gill gonna be a massive loss. Consider his batting against pace, strong against short pitch. I was expecting a breakthrough series for him. We all were. Like I mentioned, everybody, ask anybody, Rishabh Pant, Shubman Gill, Yashasvi Jaiswal. Yes, you were expecting big runs from Virat Kohli. You were expecting big runs from Rohit Sharma. As and when he comes, you're expecting big things from Jasprit Bumrah. लेकिन अगर आप बात करो जो younger generation है, going ahead, who you're looking forward to, just make India stand, and especially the number 3 spot. Nitin, it is a big loss in that sense, क्योंकि आप सोचते हो कि आपका plan set है, and let's be very honest, you were making permutations and combinations. हमने बात की थी इस शो पे कि आप एक one-off test match के लिए, you could say कि Shubman Gill opens the innings, but the message that was coming from the team management was what? No, हम KL Rahul को opening करा लेंगे, हम अभिमन्यु ईश्वरन को ओपनिंग करा लेंगे, बट गिल विल बैट एट 3, विराट विल बैट एट 4. सो दैट शोज कि आपका प्लान सेट था. यू हैड कि नहीं, दिस इज आवर कोर बैटिंग, गिल एट 3, विराट एट 4, ऋषभ पंत एट 5. दिस इज आवर कोर बैटिंग. हम इसको डिस्टर्ब नहीं करेंगे, and we'll make all the permutations and combinations around it. That has gone out of the window now. That has simply gone out of the window. One second, you are muted. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, your top 6 has become extremely unsteady now, thanks to the injury to Shubman Gill. I think you'll have to now play maybe Devdutt Padikkal at 3 and Dhruv Jurel maybe at number 6. I mean, everyone will have to bat out of positions and out of their comfort zones. Hopefully, Rahul has recovered sufficiently enough so that he can partner Yashasvi at the top, so that you have some experience at the top of the order. So what? You would have Rahul, Yashasvi and Devdutt Padikkal probably, since he's been asked to stay back.
Yes.
So maybe that's your top 3.
And with that we move on to the third news break, which again came over the weekend. और काफी discussion हुआ है इसको लेके, whether it should be Devdutt Padikkal, whether it should be Ruturaj Gaikwad. In the end, they decided on Devdutt Padikkal. Let's go with the third news break, which was Devdutt Padikkal has been added to the Indian squad, and he looks primed. And remember, he played a test match. He made his debut against England. Sai Sudarshan or Devdutt Padikkal were asked. Well, Ruturaj Gaikwad का नाम भी था, but Sai Sudarshan was the main headline there. Sai Sudarshan or Devdutt Padikkal could be asked to stay back, and in the end, it was It was Devdutt Padikkal. Sahil, it was your story once again. He's been very busy over the weekend with news breaks from Perth. Tell us, how did the team management, the selectors, arrive with this decision? Why Devdutt Padikkal? Why not Sudarshan? Why not even Ruturaj Gaikwad?
No, there was a lot of chatter around Ruturaj Gaikwad primarily because of what he did in the match simulation, right? That's when the mood started building up on social media. Otherwise, as far as I am aware of, Ruturaj Gaikwad wasn't discussed so much. They were very clear in their heads with regards to Sai Sudarshan and Devdutt Padikkal. And let's be very clear here. Let's be honest that Devdutt Padikkal. Yeah, Chetan, you want to say something?
Yeah, no, it was not just for one player. I was under the impression कि दो players को stay back करने को बोला जाएगा because
No,
we
no,
had KL Rahul. No, wait. Why? Because we had KL
yeah.
Rahul also under the injury threat. जब
No, he wasn't. So,
Friday
KL
को
को जो
he got,
yeah,
so
he got a blow, but
depending
they were very clear in their heads that KL का thing is not very serious. जो भी हल्का सा swelling वगैरह रहा था, it subsided after one day. That is why वो match simulation के second day he did not participate in anything. So they were very convinced as far as KL was concerned, and it was just a question of being very safe with Shubman because, as I said, it's a hairline fracture. You can't really put a timeline on his return yet. जब heal होगा, you will go those strength and gripping drills which they have for clearances. And Sai Sudarshan again has the weight of runs behind him, hundreds in county, Dilip Trophy, Ranji Trophy, big double hundred, big hundred, double hundred, not a big double hundred versus Delhi. Scored a 80 odd or 100 for India A versus Australia A in a second innings. Similar run for Devdutt Padikkal, but Devdutt Padikkal, I'm sure Manuja will add more on the local boy, but Devdutt Padikkal ने अजीत अगरकर का राइट कॉर्ड हिट कर दिया है, वो बड़ा 100 जो उन्होंने चेपॉक में मारा था एक रणजी ट्रॉफी मैच में. दैट इज हाउ ही वाज फास्ट ट्रैक्ड फॉर द इंग्लैंड सीरीज, एंड ही आल्सो हैड रन्स इन द दिलीप ट्रॉफी, स्टार्ट्स इन द ऑस्ट्रेलिया ए इंडिया ए सीरीज, 80 odd in the second innings where he had a good partnership with Sai, if I'm not wrong. So he was up the pecking order, और दोनों लेफ्टीज के बीच में कॉल था, so Devdutt Padikkal got the nod ahead of Sudarshan.
Right. On that note, we also welcome Manuja Virappa to the show. Manuja, it's also a factor that he played against England. और आप थोड़ा pecking order देखते हो, he made his debut and he got that half century as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think he scored 60 odd runs. Batted at number 4. Yeah, 65. Yeah, 60 odd runs. He batted at number 4 again, if I'm not mistaken. So, आप pecking order के हिसाब से भी जाओगे कि this is a guy we've already got. And then you take it forward from there. Probably, I don't know, if Rajat Patidar had scored some runs, maybe he would have been under in the conversation as well. But I don't think that happened. But यहाँ पे, first of all, your thoughts on Devdutt Padikkal, as also the news over the weekend. Rohit Sharma missing, Shubman Gill injured, Devdutt Padikkal. How do you see this whole setting?
I think Rohit Sharma was always given that he will not be there for the first test. I don't think that. I think we've discussed extensively on Bumrah's captaincy and how he's going to lead the team. Shubman Gill, I think for me, is the big news. Him not playing, there was so much revolving around him, and but I think given the bench strength we have and the fact that we've had the India A tour that has already happened, so you've already got a fair mark. That's where I think Padikkal has come in. One of the things about Padikkal is his adaptability. Opened for Karnataka for a long time. This season, I think he just got to play a match before he left for Australia, 1 or 2 matches, and he's now coming at number 3.
Yeah.
He's battled in the middle order before. He's your go-to guy in terms of you need somebody to just sit there and you stand out there and knock a few balls, get the shine off the ball. He's the player for you. Has had a very, very hard few years. Went through a health condition which kept him out of sport for almost 9 months, where he took baby steps back. Something as routine as basic fitness, he had to start work on it again. So I think from what he was, say, a year and a half ago to what he's come a long distance. I'm not surprised at all that he was picked. I think must have been a very close call between him and Sai Sudarshan, because What they
yeah,
offer, I think both of them offer similar things. Like you said, that 100 against Tamil Nadu, and the fact that he's already played against England.
yeah.
Maybe that kind of weight for him.
Yeah. Already part of it. He scored 88 against. I think he scored 88 in one of the innings against Australia. His average was
Yeah.
He's got that half century
Second
there.
innings
Um,
Matte, I think, if
yeah,
I'm not
two
wrong.
matches. Yeah, two matches.
Yeah.
He played 4 innings there. I think second innings may. But Nitin, why just add one batter? Why couldn't you just add another one, or keep Sai Sudarshan back as your traveling reserve, as because again, it's going to be a long series. Already your batting lineup is looking a little bit fragile. Rohit Sharma might come back, of course, for the second test match. So from that perspective, maybe yes, Sai Sudarshan ko isliye nahi roka gaya, but again, ahead of the first test, you could have added just one bit of bit of backup, but also the fact that आप चाहोगे कि साई सुदर्शन जिन्होंने रन बनाए हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया ए में, आई थिंक द बिगेस्ट फैक्टर शुड हैव बीन who's batted well in this India A series, and I think Sai Sudarshan was a prominent name. Let's have his stats up as well. Do you think it's a big miss not to have Sai Sudarshan there?
I think the bench then would have just got a bit too long, right? They already have enough batting backup if in case something else happens to somebody else. But I think to have Devdutt Padikkal stay back, somebody who has played a test match before, is a more sensible idea than to have Sai Sudarshan, because they would not be wanting too many debutants in a game like Perth.
Yeah.
Already, I think you would have two debutants in Harshit and I don't know what.
That's the chatter really, but we'll
Yeah,
talk about
yeah,
it.
yeah. So I don't think they would want too many newcomers. They would want somebody who has played at least a test, and he looked really good in that second game at Melbourne also, in that partnership with Jurel, I think.
ओके एक चीज और हम भी बात करते हैं कि what has happened. Let's talk about the warm up game, or well, it's not a game really, it was a match simulation. The news that we have got, and Manuja is already smiling because you know okay, there was no scorecard as such. There were black screens up all around it. um जो हमें reports मिल रही हैं, we are getting tidbits from journalists who are there, from social media, from people who have gone to cover the series, from Australian journalists over there, and there were
Sources, Chetan,
yeah,
sources.
I mean
So
sources with the injuries, etc. But mostly in terms of how the match simulation went, there were a lot of catches behind the wicket. Virat Kohli batted in the nets. He was caught behind, then again batted in the nets, then had a long session again. Um, Shubman Gill, of course, he was injured while taking a catch in the slips. A lot of Indian batters were nicked off, and that also included Rishabh Pant, Yashasvi Jaiswal going for drives and getting caught behind, um, which is to be expected in Australia. These kind of dismissals, but the bowlers. Who were the bowlers? Mukesh Kumar, Prasidh Krishna, and Nitish Reddy. Abab, Nitish Reddy is not your first line of attack. Mukesh Kumar, you've not included in the squad, test squad. Prasidh Krishna, again, he could be your third pacer. I don't think he's the starting pacer, right? Um, were you worried at all with what kind of okay, again, we were not able to witness what was really happening. So you have to take this with a pinch of salt. Again, I'm underlining this, but were you a little bit worried with what we were hearing, kind of news that we were hearing? Let's start with Nitin and then Manuja.
Yeah, I think Alex Carey and the slip cordon of Australia would be, their catching stats. I think is something that will have a decent addition by the end of the series. Looks like. Um, First time at Perth, people like Yashasvi and the other batters who have not really batted there, they may experience a bit of an issue. I
Yeah.
think unless your name is Sachin Tendulkar, I don't think anyone adjusts to Perth uh,
No.
as quickly as he did. So,
Yeah.
so I think we will struggle, but I think we are giving too much credit even to the Australian batting lineup. So I think even their batters will struggle.
No, look. Let's not do the if and but here. Look,
Yeah.
let's not do the if and but. मतलब ठीक है.
Hmm.
ये कहना गलत नहीं है कि the Australian batting lineup is looking very is not looking very strong. ठीक है?
Yeah.
Because उनकी opening troubles हैं. And again, against the new ball, if your bowlers are in fine form, if they're bowling well, if the line is good, the batters start from zero, right? They start from scratch. They need to get settled and everything. So you can get them out. But let's be honest, the likes of Steve Smith, Labuschagne, Travis Head, Alex Carey, all of those guys, Usman Khwaja, how can we forget Usman Khwaja? They are in their home conditions. And it's not like India's home conditions, jahan pe batters are struggling against spin, right? Yes, they lost to West Indies, but can you really, out of a 2-match series, just take one example and say, it's a struggle for them? No. A 5-test series is very, very different. One-off match, even India will do very well. Nobody's thinking that a 5-0 whitewash hoga in favor of Australia. So India will do well, definitely. There's no doubt about it. We have a very good side. We have a very quality side. But let's not ignore the fact it's still home conditions for Australia, for these batters. Manuja, your thoughts?
Absolutely. Going back to what you spoke about, the edges flying all across, Chetan, I think that was the whole purpose of this match stimulation and not having a practice match.
Yeah.
Everybody who said practice match, yes, you needed a practice match. But I think in the current circumstances, what you needed was match stimulation. Where, you're going through the process over and over again. That may have given them some pointers, especially players like Jaiswal. The pointers in terms of how the ball carries. That way, I think match stimulation was good and definitely gives you an added knowledge of what you're bracing for. Coming to the Australians, I quite agree with Nitin. They're not. Their fragility has been exposed over and over again. I think a lot of this is the psyche of saying, "Oh, bloody hell, India is going after a 3-0 whitewash against New Zealand." So we're really tainting the glass here and kind of seeing the Indian.
No, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah. So I know. They have a great side.
Okay, you know what we'll do? We will look up. Today we haven't done this, but tomorrow's show and day after show, what we'll do is we'll compare the statistics of the Aussie batters over the last 2 years. Not the newcomers, the ones who are already there, who played for the last couple of years, like Khwaja and Travis Head and Smith and Labuschagne, over the last 2 seasons in their home conditions, and compare to what Indian batters have done in their home conditions. I mean, am I wrong here in thinking that in home conditions they have performed better than India has done in its home conditions? That is the bottom line for me. Am I mistaken here? We will get those stats for you tomorrow. But at this point in time, without stats, I mean, you have to hand it out and say, again, the bottom line is, I'm not saying that they are not vulnerable. Sahil, your thoughts? Nitin and Manuja are against me on this.
They have home comfort, yes. Sahil, go for it.
No, you finish and then Sahil.
No. Home comfort.
Wait, please go ahead. I've had a 10-minute head start, Manuja. I'll relax my throat.
No. We get Nitin also. Manuja, you start. Yeah.
No, that's what I said. Definitely. I mean, there are no two ways that there is home comfort. They're playing in their backyard. They've done everything from mind games to having those long camps. They've all played practice matches. They're also coming off a series. But, I'm going to get in our Indian pacers here. I mean, you're not up against some gully cricketers at the end of the day. You're up against.
Okay. So our panelists are showing more faith in the Indian bowlers than they are doing on Indian batters. Nitin, Ujjwal says Australian batters have struggled against Pakistan 2023 series. Had Pakistani fielders not dropped so many catches, that is not possible. Pakistani fielders have to drop catches.
I almost read catches as I almost read catches ko coaches. because of
नहीं
what
नहीं
has been happening for the past.
कोचेज और कैचेस अगर पाकिस्तानी फील्डर कैच पकड़ लेते हैं, दैट इज अ रेयरिटी, दैट इज एन इवेंट, नॉट ड्रॉपिंग
Yeah,
कैचेस,
yeah.
that is very normal. Australia would have lost 2 tests. Well, I still think that's a bit far fetched, but Nitin, go ahead.
Yeah, Melbourne and Sydney were very, very close games.
Okay.
Perth, yes, Australia dominated, but I think
Yeah.
Melbourne and Sydney were both very, very close games. I think Labuschagne has not been having the best of the last 18 months. Even I think Travis Head has had a very poor red ball form after the WTC finals.
Yeah.
I think we are, this is a very vulnerable Australian top order,
Yeah.
and let's not forget that David Warner is not there, and both Khawaja and McSweeney will not get away to quick starts, so that will
Okay.
allow your bowlers to settle down, and they won't be attacking. You won't get what happened with Vinay Kumar in Perth in 2012.
Okay, okay. Sahil, your thoughts on this? Let's get your thoughts as well. और यहाँ पर again can't read the name, and I just want to say this, that it will be great if you guys put in your names instead of these handles, because it'll be easier for us to identify who are the real people asking us questions and not just for the sake of it. But thanks for your comment. How should India counter the high run rate partnership of Mitch Marsh and Travis Head? That is going to be a factor, और ये हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया है कि when the Kookaburra gets old, and for me that is going to be the big differentiating factor, how Indian batters respond to when the Kookaburra gets old, and how many wickets you've lost in that first session of play against the new Kookaburra. आपके पास बैटर्स बचे भी हैं या नहीं ओल्ड कुकाबुरा के अगेंस्ट रन्स बनाने के लिए, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी द बिगेस्ट एलिमेंट. The same thing applies to the Aussie batters as well. Ki how much inroad you have made into their batting lineup with the new Kookaburra, that the likes of Smith, Labuschagne, Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh, Carey do not get to bat against the old Kookaburra, which is not going to do that much, right? Whether it's pace or spin, you'll be probably be relying on reverse swing, and your biggest exponent of reverse swing is playing for Bengal in Syed Mushtaq Ali. So, Sahil, your thoughts?
No, firstly, I think I don't expect this ball to get any old in this test match. It's a wet forecast in Perth. It was drizzling today, cloudy, overcast from what I've seen. People who are covering this game, मैंने tweets देखा, videos देखा. It's a lush green outfield. There's generous amount of grass left. They're growing more live grass by watering it generously. So life is going to be difficult. And to me, both battings, अगर आप ऐसे at par रखोगे, मैं 19-20 ही कहूँगा इस time. Both of them have their issues, and call it a toss factor, call it a luck factor, but whichever bowling attack kind of has that first dominating blow over the opposition, I think it's going to set the tone for the remaining series. क्योंकि दोनों बैटिंग यूनिट्स के अंदर आपको बैक ऑफ द माइंड वो दिख रहा है, वो कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है गोइंग इनटू द सीरीज. सो इफ ऑस्ट्रेलिया काइंड ऑफ डज दैट, एक सेशन दे दिया आपको जहां पे 40 for 4 कर दिया या 50 for 5 कर दिया, और अगर इंडिया ने वैसा कर दिया, आई थिंक आपको सीरीज का एक टेम्पो और टोन डिसाइड होता हुआ वहां से दिखेगा, क्योंकि इट विल बी डिफिकल्ट फॉर बैटिंग यूनिट्स ऑफ whichever side is on the receiving end of that treatment to recover from that. Like 36 all out was for us, but luckily we had a change in guard, change in captaincy, and Ravi Shastri being Ravi Shastri. And make no mistake, यार, मतलब Gautam Gambhir हो या Andrew McDonald हो, no one is even close to what Ravi Shastri can do in that dressing room, right? So I have my doubts with Australia, and मुझे पूरा फीलिंग है कि अगर बुमराह का एक स्पेल फ्रॉम हेल पड़ गया पर्थ के अंदर, बॉस, वो पूरा सीरीज इतना दिमाग में डाउट चलेगा ना कि अंदर आएगी बाहर आएगी या खुदा ये तो सीधा जाएगी, पूरा सीरीज वही चलता रहेगा.
I just want to put it out there. Usman Khwaja was doing commentary in one of those games, and he said that it's not that tough to face Jasprit Bumrah. His action is a little odd, and once you get used to that odd action, it's actually pretty decent to play because of his different release and all. He said, and let me just add, he also said that doesn't mean that Bumrah won't get me out first ball every time in this series. But I'm just saying, this is what he said.
He was lucky that Bumrah wasn't there for the home BGT.
But okay, let's take a few questions here. यहाँ पे क्या आ रहा है? And then we'll get the points from. Okay, this is a question. Let's take this. Uttam कह रहे हैं, why do you compare batters of different conditions? You should get stats for Aussie conditions. All of them prefer to bat in the conditions rather than at home. No, that is not the point. That is not the point. The point here is what is the confidence you are carrying into the series as batters. अगर आप देखोगे लास्ट के 2 WTC साइकिल में, even the last WTC cycle, no Indian batter had big runs in the top order. Whether Rohit Sharma, whether Virat Kohli, Shubman Gill, Ajinkya Rahane, Cheteshwar Pujara, no Indian batter in the last WTC cycle had the 2023 WTC cycle. किसी Indian batter के 1000 runs नहीं थे. This time, the only Indian batter with 1000 runs in this WTC cycle is Yashasvi Jaiswal. उसको 1 साल हुआ है आए हुए अभी. So that is my point. That in your home conditions, आप overseas जब जाओगे, आपको वो batting conditions नहीं मिलेंगे. Australia is a different phenomenon now, where the Indian batters are more at home. But the point stands कि आपको अपने home conditions में किसी भी टीम को आप बोलोगे, आपको अपने home conditions में you will think कि these batters can do really well in their home conditions. Every batter will try and enjoy their home conditions more than overseas conditions. That is the norm of sport, of cricket. But it does not hold true for the Indian batting at present. Nitin and then Manuja, your thoughts on this?
That's because of the kind of pitches that you've chosen to play at home, na? I think over the last, barring that series against England after the first test in Hyderabad, you played on good wickets and you saw your batters scoring heavily. You got 2 double hundreds from Yashasvi, 200s from Gill, 200s from Rohit. I think the minute you start playing on decent wickets here, you will get big scores here too.
Yeah.
I think, and that is why I'm a little more hopeful of our batters performing a little better in Australia than they did in India.
Okay, Manuja, thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. How many matches last the full 5 days these days?
Okay.
Yeah, I think Test cricket has changed that way. Test cricket has changed that way. You don't see many draws anymore, right? Unless there is really a big weather intervention, you don't see draws anymore.
Yeah. So how many long innings are being played? It boils down to the pitches.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Pitches and the way batters bat, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way we batted in the New Zealand series, yes, definitely the focus shifts back to the batsmen. And also, I think there's been so much of emphasis on the spinning tracks and how we want to play out in home conditions. Somehow, the art of batting is lost there.
Okay.
I think I don't know who I was speaking to today, and I say batting ugly. There are players, who are not very pleasing to the eye, but they get the job done. They get you the runs. How many players do you have in this current scenario? Not many.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, Test cricket has changed. Our pitches have changed. Somehow I feel probably Australia will also change the way we look at some of these players.
Yeah.
The batsmen in particular.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, you look at Sahil, you consider this कि batters who bat ugly, और जो एक batter थे who batted ugly but he got the job done, Cheteshwar Pujara, he might be seen with a mic in hand from what we are hearing, doing Hindi commentary for this series, potentially with the Star Sports. Again, official confirmation awaited on that. But there was another batter who also got ugly with his batting and got the job done, Hanuma Vihari. He's in the recent form in Ranji Trophy, he's got a couple of half centuries. It always is important to keep players like Hanuma Vihari in the mix. But now going to Australia, he's completely out of the mix. And you don't have those big...
Chetan, sorry, I'll quickly interject you here. A lot has been said about Hanuma Vihari in the last 24 months. I think the boy needs to have his priorities in the right place first. Twice he has ditched a Madhya Pradesh move. He has had political associations now. What sort of... I can't use that word. What is happening? Okay. No, I'm saying like people tend to forget what is happening behind the scenes, what he's doing what is happening in Andhra dressing room right now. It's not a happy place to be in here, and I think Hanuma himself is to be blamed for that, because I think the season KS Bharat made his debut for India, Hanuma was playing domestic cricket then, and Hanuma I think just got 180 odd, not 180 odd, one knock of 80 odd, which I saw at the Kotla. And it was against an attack where the best spinner was Ritik Shaukin, और वो 80 रन बनाया 240 बॉल के ऊपर. So Hanuma ने अपना बेड़ा गर्क खुद
Look,
किया.
Sahil, I don't mean Hanuma
हाँ,
per
मैं
se.
समझ गया जो तुम कह रहे हो,
I'm saying
but I think ये
batters who
हनुमा वाला
get the
story
job done.
बताना
Yeah.
जरूरी है public को. Yeah.
Hanuma Vihari story chapter is over. Let's take a few comments, and I think let's start with this. Sunny says, and Nitin, let's put this to you. I just want to put this out there. Ever since Kookaburra ball changed, the new ball does a lot of lateral movement, and its shield games have been unproductive for top order. Plus, the pitches have grass. Look, I'm not sure what he means by Kookaburra ball change. आपने ball बनाने की technique नहीं change कर दी है. There's a particular set of balls which might have been doing something different.
Yeah.
And that's not always true. हर series के लिए different batch आता है, shield games के लिए different batch आता है, so you never know. From this year to last year to next year, things might be very, very different. But one thing is there that if you notice, Nitin, Australia maybe the top order batting hasn't been that productive, which is also one of the reasons why they're struggling for an opener replacement.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get those 160s, 170s, 180s that you used to get earlier when you had your Haydens and Langers and even Warners and
Yeah.
and Ed Cowan and all these players that you had.
Yeah.
They went back and forth with Marcus Harris. You know, they could not really make up their mind with him. Then they had Joey Burns, I think, for a couple of series. Then they ditched him too. So they've had and I think Will Pekoski had his issues with concussion and got hit repeatedly and could not really cement that spot. So
Yeah.
they've had a bit of a rotating.
Yeah,
Matt Renshaw. He had a good tour of India in 2017,
Yeah,
but then he
yeah.
really couldn't replicate it. So I think they've also had a bit of a revolving door policy with their openers. They've not really found a stable opening partner
Yeah.
with David Warner, number one, and hence I think Usman Khwaja moved from number 3, I think, to open, and that's when that gave them a bit of a steadying impact. But I
Okay.
think now I think they'll really, I think this could be Usman Khwaja's last series probably. I don't think he could last till the next Ashes
Well,
because
let's
he'll be
see.
38
Yeah.
in December. He'll be 38
Yeah.
in December. So Australia have issues of their own because everyone is aging together.
Yeah. You're driving home India's advantage with Australia's age for sure, Nitin. Let's get some more comments in there. Introspect says, if we do not see the new Kookaburra, it would be tough to score even 200 runs. I don't wanna comment on the number of runs, but this is definitely again, मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले भी बोला था, and for me this is going to be the battle of the series कि आप कितनी कम इंडिया फ्रॉम एन इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव कि आप कितनी कम विकेटें खोएंगे न्यू कुकाबुरा के अगेंस्ट so that your middle order can take advantage of the older Kookaburra, which goes a little softer while bowling. And while bowling, how many wickets can you take off the Australian top order so that you don't allow the likes of Smith and Labuschagne, Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh to score big? This probably, to me, this might just decide the series. Given, जैसे नितिन कह रहे हैं, मनुजा कह रही हैं कि both batting lineups are very lightweight. Okay. Manuja, for you this one. Prashant says, don't you think India should have played at least a couple of competitive matches prior to a big test series? And can you explain once again why this match simulation was important and the competitive matches probably did not serve a purpose?
Okay, I'm unmuted. See, there's a lot of talk about India's fear of being exposed and how it probably was to, not get into the mental battles of, India is not playing, they can't handle these conditions. I think match stimulation at this point of time was very important. Because, a lot of these boys are newer to the conditions. You're just coming off a 3-test match series. It's not that anybody was short of practice.
Okay.
So if you're going to adapt to conditions, playing 3-test match, 3-day, I think it was 2 days of match stimulation and 1 day of nets. I think it's fine. Why not? You're
Why
getting
not
the
play a
job
match?
done.
Why not play a competitive match?
Probably, I think in terms of achieving what you were setting out to, your productivity was more in a match stimulation than in a practice game.
Okay. I kind of disagree there because क्या होता है जैसे for example you look at the Virat Kohli example. I mean the moment he nicked
Mm-hmm.
it off, he can then just go and walk into the nets with a throwdown specialist, work on something that he was trying to work during the match simulation, which did not work for him. And then when
Mm-hmm.
he's satisfied, he can come back and bat again in the nets, and that is something that he did. और ये आप मैच
Yes.
सिमुलेशन में नहीं, ये आप कंपेटिटिव मैच में नहीं कर सकते हो,
Match
where
win.
your
Yeah.
pool, your 11 has been named, your ठीक है, maybe 2 or 3 players can go off in one point of time, but then the rest of them are, when you're fielding, for example, you basically, 8 of your players are on the field wasting time, and only a particular number of bowlers will be bowling in match simulation, match conditions. Let's be very honest, the Indian team doesn't really believe too much in using competitive matches as warm ups, और ये हम बात पहले भी कर चुके हैं. हाँ, जो आपका 2 day पिंक बॉल का होगा, that is going to be, you can call it a competitive
Yes.
match. It's going to be a practice match. एक दिन एक टीम बैटिंग करेगी, एक दिन दूसरी टीम बैटिंग करेगी.
Yes.
That's how it's going to go. So different opinions, but all opinions welcome here. Nimish, Sahil and Nitin, let's take you on this. India have 200. If India want to have 250, 300 on the board, KL Rahul, assuming he opens, and Yashasvi Jaiswal, they'll need to blunt the attack for a minimum of 15 to 20 overs. They have to make sure Virat Kohli, Pant, and the others don't come before 20, 25 overs. Look, it reminds me of the 90s when Sachin Tendulkar at number 4 was amazing, but he was always coming out to bat at 10 for 2, 20 for 2, that kind of thing. So you don't want a repeat of that for sure. Nitin, and then we'll go to Sahil.
Yeah. I mean, here, 275 to 300. If India can put up, they'll be really, really competitive in this series.
Okay.
As I said, this is going to
On a
be at least
consistent basis. On a
on a
consistent
consistent basis.
Yeah.
Especially in Perth. In fact, in Perth, I hope that either Australia bat first or India wins the toss and puts them in.
Yeah.
I really hope, because I feel that, because Australia's last test was what, in January last year, February last year,
That's great. Yeah.
the Gabba test. After that, they haven't played red ball cricket. So
No, this year. This year.
this
Wasn't
year,
it this
this
year?
year,
Yeah, this
this
year.
year, yeah, Feb 2024. I mean,
Yeah.
after the Gabba test, Australia hasn't played.
Yeah.
India, in fact, have played quite a lot of test matches. So that's where probably we may have a bit more game time in our bowlers' legs as well, because I don't think Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood have had that game time in red ball cricket in their legs, which
Okay.
may prove to be a factor. But here it's important that India gets to 270. If we get 275, 300 consistently, this will be a really, really competitive series.
Okay, we'll take one final question for Sahil. He needs to go, and he'll be back tomorrow. Sahil, if Bumrah is a pacer, he might go off the field frequently. Then who will be the captain with no Gill available? I'm sure they'll assign a vice captain, but we don't really see fast bowler captains go off the field that much unless there is an injury or a physio necessity. Pat Cummins doesn't go off the field that much.
Bumrah has been the biggest advocate of his captaincy. यार मतलब the boy has been like going on and raving that he's the best captain in his own eyes. मतलब उससे बड़ा captain उसकी नजरों में वही है, सबसे बड़ा captain. So I don't see him kind of taking those breathers or breaks, if at all not required. So अभी वो vice captaincy कौन करेगा? I think there's a leadership group already in place, and you'll have the likes of Virat, KL. Everyone will be around Jasprit Bumrah. I say KL because boss, he has a lot of game time under his belt, knows the conditions, knows everything, and has had the best seat in the house as a wicket keeper in one of the formats, again in tests in South Africa.
Yeah.
So would
Yeah.
understand this attack. So you have a leadership group, आपको दिख रहा है, सब कुछ है. So I don't see any problem with Bumrah coming out as captain. But as Nitin Bhai said, I hope he learns from Edgbaston, because तब I felt that he was a bit defensive in his approach, a bit more reactive, and I think at Waka you just can't react यार. जब तक react करोगे चार
Against
निकल जाएंगे.
Australia, in Australia, you can't be reactive at all. That's true.
Just
Thank you,
just
Sahil.
the nature of the
Yeah. Thank you, Sahil, with all the news breaks over the weekend. Aapko sari news breaks courtesy of Sahil Malhotra, and stay with you throughout this tour. We'll be bringing you a lot more news breaks and a lot more discussion all on TOI. For now, goodbye to Sahil, but Nitin and Manuja, stay on for 10 minutes, especially Manuja. It's your punishment for coming late. We'll get a few more questions to her. Thank you, Sahil. Yeah, few more questions to Manuja and Nitin, of course. If if Australia play Scott Boland, they'll have a better chance to win. As you were saying, Nitin, we manage the other trio pretty well. So good for India. Say Ashish. Kind of, I mean, we play them pretty well because they tend to use the same bowlers throughout the series. I think one of the biggest factors in the last BGT was that they used all four bowlers throughout those four test matches. This time around, they have Scott Boland, they have a couple of other pacers as well. So they'll probably, change things around. It's not going to be that simple.
That's
Nitin?
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that for the first four games at least, they'll play with this attack. For the first three
Yeah.
games at least, because there's a decent enough gap from the first and the second test.
Yeah.
Unless there's an injury to one of them,
Yeah.
then because I think Ashes, 2023 Ashes, both Hazelwood and Stark missed a test each, I think. They missed a test each. And the crucial bit, what happened in the Ashes, is Nathan Leon walking off after the second test with an injured leg, and I think the series entirely turned on its head after Nathan Leon's injury. Here also, I think Nathan Leon will be a very very crucial element. But I think playing 5 test matches on the bounce here will be a bit difficult.
Will be a bit difficult. Manuja, let's get the next one for you. Gill update says Ankit. We've already given the update. Sahil Malhotra broke the news. He's potentially out of the Perth test match and might not be available for the second test match as well. But we'll wait and watch. Because usually, जो आपका thumb fracture है, it takes a little bit of time to heal. And again, we're getting a lot of comments on Gill. Okay, again, Prashant, again, match simulation is okay to assess conditions, which should also be practiced in the nets. Will the competitive nature of a team be the focus in a match situation? No, I think the Indian team is competitive enough. You don't need to test the competitiveness of a team particularly. Match simulation mein batters ka concentration level same nahi rehta. They tend to carry those habits in real match. No, I don't agree with that. A lot of times, if you look at Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara, I remember this particular game, Johannesburg 2013. They had match simulation. Amazing the way they batted in that first test. I'm looking for a question. Question for Manuja. Okay, here it is. Introspect. Manuja, how vital is this going to be? Nathan Lyon, have a plan against him, hit out and tire out the Pacers. He is world class, but we need to have some strategy. And I think ये strategy होनी चाहिए Nathan Lyon के against, because every time we try to hit him out, we tend to get out. He's very successful against India, even in Australia.
I'm just trying to read the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
India has to have a plan versus live.
Nathan Lyon. Hit him out of the attack to tire out the other Pacers. I know he is world class, but we need to have some strategy. And my point is, every time we try to attack him, it doesn't go well for India, especially in Australia.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
I think
तो जो plan आपको बनाना है Lion के against, ये तो मत बनाओ कि just hit him out of the attack. You can't do that with Nathan Lyon. You can't do that against bowlers of quality.
Nathan Lyon is, I think everybody knows, is as dangerous in Australia as he is outside. But obviously, the team will go with the strategy with all those AI and vagara that they have, and Abhishek Nair coaching them on what is that they call, Nitin? There's something that Abhishek Nair's role. What is it?
Isn't
Nitin, it's called something.
What? Mental, whatever. I don't know what.
Mental conditioning coach, something like that.
Mental conditioning coach.
Mental
Obviously, they are being conditioned to, against each player. Nathan Lyon, if you are going to say, I'm going to go blindly on the attack with him, anybody is a fool. Play to the... Why, Chetan? Why are you laughing?
No, go on. Always with the hard-hitting comments. Go on.
Yeah. Obviously, you play to the merit, but you also can't go on the back foot with Nathan Lyon. You can't wait him out. If you're going to say, I'm going to see him through, how much more will you see him through? You're just frustrating yourself. So obviously, we're coming up with a strategy for him like everybody else.
Okay, fair enough. We need to come up with a very different strategy, and I think that is consensus. There was this one question that I want to take. When is Shami expected? Yeah, sports fan asking when he's expected to join the test squad. Why is he required to play smart if he's already proved his fitness? And from what I understand, yes, he's proved his fitness. He's picked up 7 wickets, but the management thinks that probably needs a bit more game time than just flying off to Australia and straight away playing Test cricket. And let's be honest, he'll play a couple of games before the first Test ends, so he could be on the flight, play the practice game, and be available for the second Test match. Although that again might be very very quick. But again, Nitin, am I right in reading this that it's still a little too early for Shami to be joining the first squad?
I thought if he had bowled 40 overs in that game
Yeah,
against Bengal against MP, sorry, I think that was a decent enough workload. I think he got 7 wickets. I think Bengal won a very close game also. Um, I think and to bowl 4 overs in SM80 to have that kind of preparation, I would rather have him in Australia bowling to the batters
yeah.
in the nets and experiencing Aussie conditions. It would be better if he's there rather than play SM80 games. Yeah.
Okay. We'll take a final comment here and we'll have this small little discussion on this. Avadh Agarwal saying, who will be your other two pacers? With mine are Harshit and Akash on the Perth pitch. Look, what we're going to do is we're going to have a big conversation on India's bowling combination tomorrow in tomorrow's show. We'll get some stats of the Australian batters as well, and we'll have this combination पूरा डिस्कशन करेंगे कि आपको 2 स्पिनर खिलाने हैं नहीं खिलाने हैं क्या नहीं है but for me this question about 2 other pacers this will also be dependent on कि आपका batting lineup है या नहीं and I forgot to touch this when Sahil was with us but let's get your thoughts on this. Should India play an extra batter in Perth? We'll touch this again tomorrow because the news will keep on coming from Australia. और कल जब हम bowlers decide करेंगे या bowlers के बारे में discuss करेंगे, decide तो हम कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते. जब हम bowlers discuss करेंगे, तब इस पे भी impact पड़ेगा. But for now, if you have to fill in the blanks here, let's go with Nitin and then to Manuja. Should India play an extra batter? And I'll be very interested to know who is your number 6 batter. Go ahead, Nitin first.
Jurel. Jurel at
Yeah,
number
yeah.
6.
Okay.
So you want to name my top 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Rahul Jaiswal. Rahul
Yeah.
Jaiswal, Padikkal, Kohli, Pant, Jurel, Ravindra Jadeja, Jasprit
Okay.
Bumrah.
Okay. Stop. We'll talk about the bowling attack tomorrow. So, from your answer, जो हम gather कर रहे हैं that you are not playing an extra batter,
No.
right? You
It
have
would be
your
a
Ravindra
mistake.
Jadeja at number 7. Bowling
Yeah.
attack we will discuss tomorrow. We are running out of time. Manuja, your thoughts? Will you play an extra batter? Spicy pitch, this that. Dhruv Jurel at number 6. Potentially he batted in the match simulation a lot more than Sarfaraz Khan. I missed this point earlier on. A lot more than Sarfaraz. He batted in the match simulation. He seems like he'd be batting at number 6 for India. But do you play an extra batter given all the frailty, and I use the word, all the frailty with which the Indian team might be going into this first Test match?
Yes.
You want to play
And
an
I
extra
think
okay.
Jurel at number 6.
Jurel at number 6, but do you play an extra batter?
I play a batting all-rounder, no? We our whole nice concept of all-rounders.
Okay.
Because your
so
top 6
Nitish
anyway
Kumar
doesn't
Reddy.
have one.
So Nitish Kumar Reddy. So you're ready to hand it to Captain Nitish Kumar Reddy. Okay. So
Yes.
there it goes. So आज का अगर हम सार आपको बताएं, so looking at KL Rahul and Devdutt Padikkal, there you go. Amazing. Our producers are amazing. Look at that. KL Rahul, Devdutt Padikkal, Dhruv Jurel, Sarfaraz Khan potentially, but there's also the option of playing Ravindra Jadeja at number 7. There's also the option of playing Nitish Kumar Reddy at number 7. So ये जो discussion होगा number 7 and how India's bowling lineup will shape up, we'll be discussing that tomorrow at 6:30 and we'll be taking in all your queries again, all your questions again, and obviously bring you some more news from what's happening in Australia. And we're looking forward to more discussion on the first Test match, ahead of the first Test match on the BGT series. For now, we are out of time here on Beyond the Boundary. Manuja, thank you so much. Nitin, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Well,
Thank
again,
you.
he's gone to him as well. And thanks to our viewers for joining in. Do subscribe to TOI Sports on YouTube and keep watching. जैसा मैंने कहा कि we are bringing you lots of content this week on India Australia on the BGT, and of course Friday को हम एक special show लेके आएंगे आपके लिए for the IPL auctions, and then of course the IPL auction coverage on Sunday and Monday as well. So lots coming up on TOI Sports Beyond the Boundary. For now, it's goodbye. Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m., bowling attack and playing 11 combination for India. Do join us then. We look forward to your company. Goodbye.
Bye.